Hello, I am Dr. Venkata Krishnaya, Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, Bharat Institute of Higher Education and Research. Today we are going to discuss the subject name Geotechnical Engineering. The topic is Introduction and Index Properties of Soil. Okay, first we will discuss the synopsis. What is the synopsis of this subject? Definition and history we are going to discuss first, then nature of soil, problems with soil, phase relations, soil structure, index properties, classification of soils, field identification we are going to discuss. So next is the history of soil mechanics is in 1773 itself it was developed by Coulomb. He developed the wedge theory to determine the earth pressures for frictional and cohesive soils, and in 1840 Poncelet developed a graphical solution for Coulomb's wedge theory. 1856 Rankine developed theories about the behavior of sand. In 1856 Darcy was determined the formulae for the permeability of the soil. In 1857 Airy worked on the stability of slopes. In 1885, Boussinesq. In 1908, Richardson. In 1911, Atterberg. In 1915, Bell. 1916 to 1922, Fillenius. In 1925, Carl Terzaghi. He is the Austrian, published the first major book on soil mechanics. This brought together the fundamental principles on which modern soil mechanics is based. Terzaghi is sometimes referred to as the father of soil mechanics. Next, we discuss what is the definition of the soil mechanics. It is the branch of civil engineering that deals with the laws of mechanics and hydraulics applied to engineering problems related to soils. The soil formation, how the soil was formed. Formation of soil is attributed to weathering. Weathering is defined as the process of disintegration of rocks and minerals into finer particles. The type of there are various types of weatherings are there. The important one are physical weathering, chemical weathering, biological weathering. Physical weathering, various processes: thermal process, frost process, hydraulic process, pressure, salt, and salt crystallization. In chemical various acts of chemical are carbonation, hydration, hydrolysis, oxidation, ion exchange. Based on location of deposition, soil can be residual soils or transported soils. Transported soils include alluvial soils, alluvial soils, glacial soils, lacustrine soils, and marine soils. What is the nature of the soil? Soil has most varying nature when it comes to the properties exhibited by it. The natural soil deposits are complex in nature because nonlinear stress-strain relationship, memory for stresses they have undergone. Soil deposits are far from being homogeneous. No guarantee that sample test results represent field values. No soil sample is truly undisturbed. What are the problems are there with the soil? So the wide range of the soil is having wide range of characteristics, and soil having behavioral changes, and due to unpredictability behavior of the soil, so there are so many problems are associated with the soil. The phase relationships. The soil is complex system, consists of soil solids, soil air, soil water. So this is the phase diagram. That means the soil skeleton. From soil skeleton, the phase diagram will be delivered, and this is the soil skeleton. Means the voids, it shows the solid particles. Voids, the voids contains air or water. So this mineral skeleton, how we can develop it as a three-phase diagram means the skeleton which constitutes solids, water, air. These three components will be diagrammatically represented. That is called the three-phase diagram. So the same mineral skeleton, that means when the soil is completely saturated, that means when the soil is fully saturated, there are only two types of components, that is solids and water. So this is also a mineral skeleton when the soil is dry. The dry soil consists of solids and air. So this is the three-phase diagram. We are showing that means a partially saturated or field soil which contains the constituents of soil, various types of soils such as solids, water, air. These three waters, air, water can be represented one side weights and other side volumes. The solids having weight, that is weight of solids represented as Ws, then weight of the water is represented as Ww, and weight of air which is equal to 0, Wa is 0. So the total weight W, capital W, is equal to Ws plus Ww. Then other side we can represent the volumes. The total volume is V, capital V. Then volume of the voids can be taken as Vv. Then Vv is again split into two parts. That means the voids which are having voids and the voids which are having air. Then another solids, that means while coming to the solids, the volume of the solids can be represented as Vs. So next, what are the phase relation definitions? That means what are the simple definitions of the soil mechanics? That means number one, first one is water content. So water content is represented as small w, or it can be represented as omega, is equal weight of water divided by weight of solids. Multiplied with 100, we can get the water content in terms of percentage. Then next one is void ratio. Void ratio is the ratio of volume of voids to volume of solids. It is the fractional value. It is not represented in percentage. Then porosity. Porosity is represented by N. N is equal to volume of voids to total volume. Multiplied with 100, you can get the porosity in terms of percentage. Then next definition is degree of saturation. It is represented by capital S is equal VW divided by VV. That means volume of water. It is the ratio of volume of water to the volume of voids. Multiplied with 100, we can represent the degree of saturation in terms of percentage. Next is air content. AC, it is denoted by AC, A suffix C, air content. So it is the ratio of volume of air to volume of voids. It is also write as 1 minus degree of saturation S. 1 minus S. S means degree of saturation. Next is a unit weight. Unit weight is represented as gamma. Gamma is equal to weight of the soil divided by volume of the soil. Next, dry unit weight. Dry unit weight is represented as gamma D. Gamma suffix D is equal to weight of solids divided by volume. Saturated unit weight is represented as gamma sat is equal to saturated weight divided by total volume. Then submerged unit weight. Submerged unit weight is denoted by gamma dash. On some books, they may be represented as gamma sub also. So it is the ratio of submerged weight of the soil divided by volume. So submerged weight of the volume to determine it is very difficult. So it can be represented. It can be defined as gamma sat minus gamma W. That means saturated unit weight minus unit weight of water. We can get the submerged unit weight. Next definition: unit weight of solids. Unit weight of solids can be represented as gamma S. Gamma S is equal to Ws by Vs. That means weight of solids to, it is the ratio of weight of solids to volume of the solids. Then specific gravity. Specific gravity represented by capital G or G suffix S. So in both way you can represent G or GS. So which is defined, so the specific gravity can be defined as gamma S by gamma W. That means it is the ratio of unit weight of solids to unit weight of water. Then mass or apparent specific gravity. Mass or apparent specific gravity, it is denoted by G suffix M. So capital G suffix M. So it is the ratio of unit weight of soil to unit weight of water. So next definition, last definition, that is the percentage of air voids. Percentage of air voids is denoted by N suffix A, small n suffix A. It is the ratio of volume of air to total volume of soil. Multiplied with 100, we can get in terms of percentage. So these are the phase relationships. That means the relation between Ws, W and small w. That means weight of solids, total weight and water content. So capital W is equal to, capital W means weight of the soil. Weight of the soil is equal to weight of the solids plus weight of the water. So it can be mathematically, you can reduce by simplifying. You can get weight of the soil is equal to weight of the solids into 1 plus omega. Weight of solids into 1 plus omega or small w. That means W, small w is the water content. Next is a relation between E and N. That means relation between void ratio and porosity. The porosity is equal to volume of the voids by volume. Okay, porosity is defined as the ratio of volume of voids to the total volume. So it can be write as VV by Vs and divided by 1 plus VV by Vs. So it can be reduced to E by 1 plus E, or E is equal to N by 1 minus N. So like that we can write, we can derive. So volume of the solids, again volume of the solids is equal to volume by 1 plus E. Volume of the solids can be written as capital V divided by 1 plus E. That means again we can write volume of the voids is equal to V into E by 1 plus E. V into E by 1 plus E. Like that also we can write. Then relationship between void ratio, water content, specific gravity of solids and degree of saturation, you can derive that one. E is equal to VV by Vs. So VV by Vs can be, again you can split up into, we can write, elaborately you can write VV by VW into VW by Vs. That means by multiplying and denominator by substituting VW, so no value can be changed. Then VV by VW into WW by gamma W divided by WS by gamma S. Then it can be simplifying into 1 by S into omega or small w into GS. So finally you can get from this relationship omega G by S. That means you can write as SE is equal to omega G. Next relationship is relationship between gamma and GS, E, omega and gamma W. That means unit weight of the soil and specific gravity of the solids, and E. E means void ratio, then water content and unit weight of water. By combiningly, so we are going to deriving the formula. Gamma is equal to W by V. Okay, so that means unit weight of the soil is equal to weight by volume. So that can be split by elaborately by writing W is equal to WS plus WW by V, capital V is equal to VS plus VV. So again WS by taking out 1 plus WW by WS divided by taking Vs outside, Vs into 1 plus VV by Vs, it will come. Then GS into gamma W into 1 plus omega by 1 plus E we can get. That is equal to, again writing G plus SC by G plus SE into gamma W by 1 plus E you can get. So finally you can relationship between gamma sat, GS, E and gamma W, that means saturated unit weight, specific gravity of the solids, Y ratio and gamma W, the relation we can deriving when by substituting when we want unit weight of the saturated soil means when the soil is saturated, so we must take the degree of saturation is equal to 1. So that means gamma will become as gamma sat. By substituting these two in the previous equation, we can get gamma sat is equal G plus E by G plus E into gamma W by 1 plus E you can get. Okay. So one more relationship from the previous equation you can derive, that is for gamma D. That means gamma D means dry unit weight. Relationship between dry unit weight and specific gravity of the solids, Y ratio and gamma W we can write as when S is equal to substitute when S is equal to 0, gamma will become as gamma D. Substituting these two, that means S is equal to 0 and gamma is equal to gamma D. In substituting in the previous equation, we can get gamma D is equal to G gamma W by 1 plus E. You can get. Then the relationship between gamma D, GS, omega, S and gamma W. For this, gamma D, dry unit weight is equal G gamma W by 1 plus E. In place of E, by substituting omega G by S, so we can get one more formula, that is G gamma W by 1 plus omega G. In this condition, S is equal to 1. By substituting S is equal to 1, you can get G gamma W by 1 plus omega G you can get. Then one more relation between Y ratio, dry unit weight, specific gravity of the solids and unit weight of water. Gamma D is equal GS into gamma W by 1 plus E. That means G gamma W by 1 plus E. By cross multiplication, GS into gamma W is equal to gamma D into 1 plus E it will become. Then E is equal to G gamma W by gamma D minus 1 you can write, you can simplify that one. Again, relationship between gamma dash and G, E and gamma W. In this case, gamma dash, that means subconjugated unit weight is equal to, we know that gamma sat minus gamma W, that means saturated unit weight minus unit weight of the water. These can be substituting and finally you can get G minus 1 into gamma W by 1 plus E you can get. G minus 1 gamma sub is equal, that means subconjugated unit weight is equal G minus 1 into gamma W by 1 plus E you can get. One more relationship, that is in between gamma D into gamma D and omega. Gamma D and omega. So gamma is equal to unit weight of the soil is equal to weight by volume. So weight can be split at weight of the water plus weight of the solids divided by V. Ws can be taken out. Ws into 1 plus WW by Ws divided by V. Finally, you can get gamma D into 1 plus omega. Gamma is equal to gamma D into 1 plus omega, or gamma D is equal to gamma by 1 plus omega also we can write. The relationship between gamma D, specific gravity of the solids, water content and for Na, that means percentage of air whites, Na. So what is the relationship between unit weight of the dry soil, specific gravity of the solids, water content and percentage of air whites can be derived. First, take V is equal to total volume, V is equal to VW plus VA plus VS. So V sending to right side, we can get 1. 1 is equal to VW by V plus VA by V plus VS by V. Then again VW by V plus NA, VA by V can be write as NA plus Vs by V. 1 minus Na is equal to, by sending Na towards left side, 1 minus Na is equal to Vw by V plus Vs by V. Ww by gamma naught y is converting volumes into weights, so it can be become as Ww by gamma W by V plus Ws by G into gamma W divided by V. Omega into Ws by gamma W divided by V plus gamma D by Gs gamma W, then that is equal to, again we can write as omega into gamma D by gamma W plus gamma D by Gs gamma W you can get. Then again it is equal to gamma D by gamma W into omega plus 1 by G you can get. Finally, gamma D is equal to, by sending right side and left side, we can write as gamma D is equal to 1 minus Na into G gamma W by 1 plus omega G you can write. This is the final relationship. Gamma D is equal to 1 minus Na into G gamma W by 1 plus omega G. Next, this we have concluded the relationships, various relationships we have completed. Now, soil structure. About soil structure we are going to discuss. So what is the soil structure? The soil structure may be defined as the manner of arrangement and state of aggregation of soil grains. This study includes mineralogical composition, electrical properties, orientation, shape of soil grains, interaction of soil grains with water. What are the different types of soil structures? So we can discuss what are the different types of soil structures means. First one is single grained structure. The second one is honeycombed structure. Next, flocculated structure, dispersed structure, coarse grained skeleton, then cohesive matrix. So like that, various types of structures which will be formed depends upon the type of the soil. So we can see the picture of what is the single grain structure. So the first one they shown that single grain structure, it is an arrangement consisting of individual soil grains. That is called single grained structure. The second one is honeycombed structure. It is the arrangement of soil particles having a comparatively loose but stable structure similar to a honeycomb. Third structure is a flocculent structure. So you can see what is the flocculent structure in the diagram. It is an arrangement composed of flocks of soil grains instead of individual grains with edge to edge or edge to face arrangement. So these particles will be affixed by face to face or edge to edge or edge to face. So like that it will be affixed. So this type of arrangement we can call as flocculent arrangement, flocculent structure. Next arrangement, soil structural arrangement, that is dispersed structure. So dispersed structure is an arrangement having face-to-face parallel orientation of soil grains. Face-to-face parallel orientation of soil grains. So like that the arrangement may be having. So in case of flocculent structure, the porosity will be more, but in case of dispersed structure, the porosity is less. Okay, flocculent structure is not a compacted soil. Dispersed structure is a compacted soil. Next, coming to the index properties. What are the various index properties of the soil? We are going to discuss. That is, those properties, what is meant by index property? So index property means which help to assess the engineering behavior of soil and which assist in determining its classification accurately or termed as index properties. Okay, so index properties may be classified as soil grain properties or soil aggregate properties. Soil grain properties dependent on individual soil grains. Soil aggregate properties are dependent on soil mass as a whole. Next is grain shape. Grain shape is basically of the following types. Bulky grains. The dimensions of grain are more or less comparable. Bulky grains means the dimension of the grain is more or less comparable. This may be in the shape of angular shape, very angular, subangular, sub-rounded, rounded, well-rounded. So like that depends upon the shape, grain shape, it was categorized. The shape of bulky grain is determined by its sphericity, given by sphericity can be represented as S. That means sphericity is denoted as S. S is equal to dc by L, where L is length of the grain, dc is the volume of the grain, that is can be determined dc is equal to 6v by pi to the power of 1 by 3. From this we can derive it indicates the volume of the grain. So these are the different types, that means types of the grains, how it depends upon the shape. So increasing roundness, that means high sphericity is transforming into different ways. That means very sphericity and high sphericity, how it was developed, how it was become as well-rounded, from very angular to angular, then subangular, sub-rounded, rounded, well-rounded. So like that it was changing. Flaky or plate shaped, that means flaky or plate shaped, that means one dimension very small and another dimension is very lengthy. Then needle shaped grain means one dimension fully developed compared to other two. Okay, so in case of flaky or plate, how it looks, the thickness will be the thickness of the plate or flaky sample, flaky shaped grain is very less, and length may be having or width may be having very more. So that is why it is called as flaky. The needle shaped means the diameter or length and compared to size of the particle to length of the particle will be very more. So this is the platy. This is the first diagram shows the platy. Then next one can be called as lenticular. Next is water content. How to determine the water content of the soil. So determination of water content can be done by the following methods. One is oven drying method. Second one, pycnometer method, sand bath method, rapid moisture meter, torsion balance moisture meter. So these are the water content methods are available in various laboratories. So the water content by oven drying method, while discussing the formula used to determine the water content is, water content can be represented as omega is equal to W2 minus W3 by W3 minus W1 into 100. Specific gravity can be determined by using density bottle or a pycnometer. Specific gravity is determined by using formula G is equal to W2 minus W1 by W4 minus W1 minus W3 minus W2. Generally, it is reported at a temperature of 27 degrees C. So it can be whatever temperature you are determining the specific gravity, that can be changed into or transformed into 27 degrees C. That specific gravity at 27 degrees C only represented in the soil reports. So how it can be reported means G 27 degrees C is equal to G T degree C into G at G of centigrade of water at T degree C divided by centigrade of water at 27 degree C. So by using this relation, we can transform the physical gravity into, at whatever may be temperature you have determined, at room temperature determined, it can be found at represented at 27 degree C. So these diagrams shows that pictures shows that density bottle, one is density bottle, the second one is a pycnometer. The density bottle is methods, these methods are used to determine the specific gravity. The density bottle is having the volume is 50 ml capacity. Then while coming to pycnometer capacity is having up to 1 liter. So 1 liter capacity, that means 1000 ml capacity it may be having. And density bottle method is used for fine grain soils. To determine the specific gravity of fine grain soil, density bottle can be used. And pycnometer method is pycnometer bottle is used to determine the sand, that means coarse aggregates, sand, and that means bigger particles. For that, to determine the specific gravity, the pycnometer can be used. Next is in situ density or field density. So field density or in situ density can be determined by the following two methods. One is core cutter method, the second one is sand replacement method. So here the two diagrams, two pictures are available. The first picture is core cutter with rammer. The second one picture is the sand replacement apparatus. The apparatus of core cutter is consists of core cutter which is having 10 centimeter diameter and height is 11.5 centimeter. The rammer means weight which is having it is a hammer, like a hammer it can be used. Then one more apparatus, it is called a dolly by placing on the top of the core cutter. So with the help of rammer we can ramming the by giving hammer with the help of rammer we can give the blow at the top of the dolly. So like that the core cutter can be penetrated into the ground. After that, by taking out the core cutter outside along with the soil, it can be weighed and determine the weight of the core cutter with the soil. So after finding the core cutter weight of the core cutter with soil, that is WC with soil, that means total weight, that means W. From that, if you detected the weight of the core cutter, you can get the weight of the soil. So what is the field density? Field density is equal to weight of soil divided by weight of the volume of the soil. So volume of the soil to determine, you can measure the volume of the core cutter. So volume of the core cutter, how you can determine? Volume of the core cutter is equal to diameter by finding the diameter, that means pi d square by 4 into volume, you can get the volume of the core cutter. So density, finally the field density is equal to weight of the soil divided by volume of the core cutter. By dividing, you can get the field density of the soil. Similarly, in case of sand replacement method, consists of the three parts of the sand replacement apparatus. One is a sand pouring cylinder, second one is calibration can, the third one is a metal tray. By using this, you can determine the field density of the soil. Then next method, that grain size distribution, that means the next index property is grain size distribution. So grain size distribution can be done, it is the process of finding the percentage of various sizes of the soil grains which are present in a given dry soil sample, and it can be done by two stages. One is sieve analysis of coarse grain soils, the second one is sedimentation analysis for fine grain soils. So this sieve analysis can be done sieving the coarse grain soils through a set of designated highest sieves and determining the proportions of various sizes. So this is the arrangement of various sieves. Accordingly, depends upon the size of the aperture. That means size of the aperture means first can be taken 4.75 mm sieve, below that 2.36, below that sieve again 1.26, then again 600 micron, 300 micron, 150 micron, 75 micron. At bottom you can fix the pan. Then take the soil and place it in a 4.75 mm sieve and cover with the top lid, and total setup can be placed in a sieve shaker machine by sieving the certain that means 5 to 6 minutes. By sieving we can the whatever soil you have poured in a soil sample, that whatever soil sample you have taken, that can be sieved through the sieve shaker for about 5 to 6 minutes. So after that, each sieve, that means whatever soil retained in each sieve, can be determined by taking the weighing balance. By taking the weighing balance, measure the various sieves. Each sieve, by taking whatever soil retained in each sieve, can be determined. It can be recorded in a record. Next is this is the table column which we can fill during the experiment. So one column is highest sieve. It can be designated. The designation is mm, and weight of the soil in terms of grams. Then cumulative weight retained, then soil retained as percentage for partial sample, that is can be N1. Then soil passing as percentage of partial sample, that is N dash. Then combined percentage passing as percentage of total sample. So like that you can make the table column. So in that 4.75 mm sieve, by taking first what is the weight of the soil retained, measured in a weighing balance and recorded in the table column. So like that in each sieve, that means 4.75 mm, 2.36, 1.18, then 0.7, 0.6, 0.425, 0.3, 0.15, and 0.075 mm. So all the sieves, by taking each sieve, determine the weight retained in each sieve, it can be recorded, finding the cumulative weight retained, and then find the percentage final can be determined finally. So after finding the size of percentage final, so we can plot this diagram. Diagrammatically you can represent it in a graph by drawing a graph line. So that is a particle size distribution curve we can obtain. With the help of that, you can find the uniformity coefficient and coefficient of curvature. With the help of this uniformity coefficient and coefficient of curvature, you can classify the soils. Then next one is the sedimentation analysis, which is based on Stokes' law, according to which the velocities of free fall through liquid for spheres of different sizes is different. So what are the limitations of sedimentation analysis? So this sedimentation analysis is valid only for sizes between 0.2 and 0.002 mm. And also in this analysis, we can assume the particles are spherical and considers the fall of one particle in indefinite extent of fluid. Average specific gravity of solids is used. Then charged particles flock together with settle quicker. Can be done using hydrometer analysis or pipette analysis. This is the method we can use for this sedimentation analysis. That means one is hydrometer, another one is pipette analysis. We are having in our syllabus hydrometer analysis. So this is the process of the hydrometer in various stages. How the hydrometer can be placed, how we can get the hydrometer reading from this jar. So this is the table column. To one side we can take the elapsed time in minutes. Another is the temperature can be recorded. Then observation of the hydrometer reading. Then combined corrected hydrometer reading, effective depth, particle diameter in mm, percentage finer, and percentage finer as a whole can be plotted written in a tabular column, and finally it can be plotted in a semi log graph. So the results of a grain size distribution test is plotted in a semi-log graph of particle size versus percentage finer to obtain distribution curve. The soil can be evaluated from the shape of the curve and parameters like Cu and Cc in case of coarse-grain soils and consistency indices in case of fine-grain soils. Coefficient of uniformity Cu is equal to D60 by D10. By using this formula, you can determine when if you get the value in between, that means Cu less than 5, the soil can be categorized as uniformly graded. When the Cu value is in between 5 to 15, it can be called as a moderately uniform soil. When the soil gives the Cu value greater than 15, the soil can be categorized as well graded soil. Then one more parameter, that is the coefficient of curvature. Cc is equal to D30 squared by D60 to D10. So by using this formula, you can find the coefficient of curvature. Coefficient of curvature, if you get in between 1 to 3, it is called a well graded. Then one more parameter, D10 is called as effective size. This effective size is very important to determine the permeability of the soil. So okay, you can conclude the lecture from this. So thank you.